And I think this is all uncomfortable. Like there's a tension to like talking about this stuff. And it's like, why? Let's talk about it. Let's be honest. I think the misconception with all of this is that people think that what you do is easy. And it's not easy. Like none of this stuff is easy. Your life is not your own. Your time is not your own. Your gifts are not your own. None of this is ours. Yeah, it's all given to us to manage as followers of Jesus for his glory, to build others up and to help spread the gospel.
When we said you'd sit here, I was trying to think like, what kind of questions could I ask you? Try to make it fresh, something, because I have a ton of questions, just as somebody who knows you behind the scenes, that I have personally, you know, and I'm sure some people would be curious about this. So this kind of popped off right off the bat, and I'm curious, if someone only watched your online content, first of all, you're spread out, prolific, got a lot going on, you know. What part of the real Ruslan would they miss?
The part of the real Ruslan they would miss, I think they would miss who I am as a husband and as a father. Yeah, I don't think they would catch that part.
Tell me about it.
We don't put my family on social media. We don't make content with my family. My wife has never been on my show. My kids don't appear often. And so I think that's one of my favorite parts about life, is like getting me a dad, getting to be a husband, you know?
Yeah.
So they would miss that part of me. I think that aspect of the friend, the husband, the person that's really about other people. I love championing other people. I don't think they would catch that from the content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, it sounds like, and I feel this way, that is the most important aspect of who you are. Follower of Jesus Christ, husband, father, then YouTuber, then everything else, right?
100%.
So that's interesting because, I mean, if you want to quantify the percentage of how much people actually see of you or know of you, because you're out there, man. Like you got 3 channels.
3 channels.
You got 3 channels. You're a rapper, author. We're going to talk about the book. I'm excited to get there. But if I had to quantify how much people actually see of the real me, I'd say it's maybe 35%, maybe 40%. Are you in that ballpark?
Probably. Yeah, probably. Because I think so. Because here's the thing, is that there's also a component of like, you know, don't let your right hand know what your left hand is doing with the stuff I'm really passionate about. People just, they don't get to see those aspects, and nor are they supposed to, in my opinion. You know, like I think there's certain things that are private and intimate for a reason.
Yeah. No, that's good. You know, as successful as you are, I know for a fact, because I know this is true of everyone, that God is doing something with you in a manner where you're wrestling and you're figuring it out, you know? And so this is something that, as a pastor, when I was, back in Vegas, we would ask this question all the time. What is God teaching you in this moment? Do you feel comfortable sharing anything about that?
I'll make the exception for you.
Oh, okay.
Nate. I typically don't, and this is my wife gave me this jib. She said there's a difference between being vulnerable and being intimate.
Yeah.
So being vulnerable is like, I'll show you my scars. I'll tell you anything about my past. I'll show you any of those things. But being intimate is showing what God is taking you through right now, and sometimes showing wounds.
Yeah.
You know, so I typically don't show wounds because they're fresh, and oftentimes it's stuff that the Lord is working with. Or just like, I read this in the scriptures today. Like, no, that was for me. I don't read it and then go regurgitate it on the internet. Like that was for me. I keep a private devotional, my prayers. So in the season that I'm in, with having just released my first book, written it in, like actually with that, I gotta give a ghostwriter. Like I really wrote this thing, right? In the season that I'm in, I think one of the things I'm wrestling with in real time that is hard is like, man, God seems to be breathing down on things in a very powerful way and opening doors. And there's a degree of like, am I equipped? Am I in a, like, that's that imposter syndrome, you know?
Wow.
And that just doing a YouTube thing is one thing, but like when you write a book and you're like, I'm writing a book called Godly Ambition to help people get clarity in their calling and their purpose and discover the full potential of their time, talent, and treasure. Like that's a weighty thing to walk through. You know, we walked through it with my pastor, a part of the process. We walked through it with an amazing editor, Will Anderson, but it's a weighty thing. And now the doors are opening to speak. And what happens is you see the impact from the internet. You see it in real life. You see the person that goes like, I'm walking with Jesus now because of your videos. You see the youngest crying, and that some of that is really hard to process because it's real. Like it's not on the internet. Like these are real humans, you know? And so like, I think that is difficult for the human brain to process. So that's difficult for me to quantify. Like the impact is bigger than I think. Cause to me, it's like, I got my church, I got my people, I got my community. That's how I get recognized maybe once a day when I'm out of public, but it's not. But when you're like doing an event and there's hundreds of people that want to meet you and hang out and take a picture, it's like, whew, you know? Yeah. It also creates a healthy fear of the Lord. Like this is so sacred. This is so, beautiful and sacred that God would use me and I would be a part of this thing God's doing. Like it's, yeah. So it's a bit overwhelming at times. There's a degree of imposter syndrome. There's a degree of like, man, you know, and then I have, my pastor, my therapist, my wife, like people that are like, you're the perfect person to do what you're doing. Yeah. You know, that's like God's positioned you where you're supposed to be. Yeah.
First of all, I'm grateful that you felt comfortable sharing that. And I put you on the spot. And I also think about this and I wrestle with this. And I'm fully committed to the concept of when God calls somebody to a mission, he shapes the mission, but he also shapes the disciple called.
Mm-hmm.
And I just put it out there. I understand the struggle. And I told so I'm in my senior pastor's discipleship group. I told him literally this last week, I don't have a capacity to understand whatever this is, whatever the hand of God's favor is, what you want to call that. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you felt comfortable. You know, there are moments in our lives that are formative, and it helps us, like, because we're thinking about things, but we're doing so based on our experience in the past. And so you've talked about growing up, you know, coming to America, but I'm curious about coming to America, your formative years. What is the thing that stands out that you think is like, this is what shaped me to become who I am today?
Ooh, man. I think of a couple of things. I think about my first memory in America. It wasn't the airport. It wasn't the car ride. It wasn't the apartment. It was going to a Lucky's grocery store off of El Cajon Avenue in San Diego. The El Cajon in the 15. And remembering going, did they take me to a toy store? Because it was so shiny. The lights were so beautiful. It was so shiny. And I was like, oh, how thoughtful of my parents. They took me to a toy store to make sure I was solid. Like I just came to America solid. And it was a grocery store. And I share it was a grocery store because in the former Soviet Union, under communism, we didn't have grocery stores.
Oh, yeah.
We lined up for food rations. We had water rations. So I think very early on, there was like, oh, this is different. Like what we have here, this is very different. And so as a combination of like, wow, gratitude, right? This is awesome. Yeah. I say the second memory would be when my mother and my dad split. You know, I think there was I don't know I share this in the book. My mom and dad had a tumultuous marriage. They came to the United States with a fresh start.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they kept having issues. And what happened was I discovered these little letters with kissing marks on them. And I thought my mom was writing letters to my dad and kissing them with like lipstick marks. And then I brought them to my dad, like, oh, look what mom prayed for you.
Uh-huh.
And he opened them and they were to her boyfriend back in Baku. She was writing letters behind his back and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And my dad left my mom. And so from then on, my dad's not in my life. He tried to come around, but it's difficult. So those two things, like immense opportunity and then like this weird, did I just cause the break of my parents' marriage? And now my dad's not here anymore. And then the shame and the guilt that I carried with that.
I was going to ask you, I mean, did you feel like you were responsible?
Yeah. And I did, and I couldn't articulate it that way, but as a kid, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And so you blame yourself, and then, my mom goes down like a pretty dark bit of alcoholism and depression and despair. And dad remarries. He starts a new family. He doesn't come around as much. And then I'm just like, I'm left to be raised by gangster rap music, and just like the most wild, vile things that I couldn't imagine my son experiencing, at that age, on top of like experiencing sexual assault in the Armenian Apostolic Church. I was an altar boy, some older altar boys, sexually assaulted me. So that also did a number. So by the time I'm like 10 or 11, like I'm an atheist. There is no God. And if there's a God, he definitely wants nothing to do with me because of all the evil that I felt like happened to me.
Wow. I mean, golly. And at such a young age, carrying that.
Yeah.
And feeling the weight of that. Do you at this point in time, do you still try to reach out to your dad and have a relationship?
Yeah. So the odd thing, so here's the wild thing. My mom struggles with alcoholism for decades, literally decades.
Yeah.
She breaks her shoulder. She falls and breaks her shoulder the week of Corona, right as everything is starting to shut down. The week of everything, she falls and breaks her shoulder really bad. I'm talking like the x-rays are like just horrific, like the way the break was.
Wow.
And she needed her hips fixed. And so like that was a catalyst for me and her. We were kind of estranged at the time. That was a catalyst for us to reconcile. And so at the perfect time, just kind of almost became like her caregiver for a season.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
See, 2020.
Yeah. Everything shut down. I had no more shows. I couldn't do any concerts. There was nothing to do. Right. So it was like, all I could do is YouTube and take care of my mom. So I'm taking her to all the doctor's appointments. And in that, it forced her to finally detox from alcohol because she needed to have surgery for her shoulder, but then she also needed both hips fixed. Yeah. She has three different things. So every time she's going in, like, you can't drink alcohol. Right. So it's like, she got time to just detox. And then recently she ends up, like coming to faith at like a Calvary chapel that does like a Russian service. So like finally gives her life to Jesus after decades of praying.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually surreal, man, because like my mom like goes to church every week now, and it's the wildest thing because she did it. She, even when I couldn't fit, she was like, okay, that's cool. It gives you some structure.
Yeah.
It kind of seems like a cult, but like, all right. And so that's awesome. And then prior to that, like I went through a season of just getting way closer to my dad because I confronted him. I found it like, as an adult, like I was like, what happened? Like, where were you? Because I've started a date and bringing my wife around, and I knew I wanted to have this connection. I'm going to make the effort as a Christian to be in your life, even if I feel like you haven't been in my life. I had that, but then I finally confronted him. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
He gave me this out of the story. I was like, you don't remember finding the lipstick markers? You don't remember every time I come around and get into a fist fight with one of your mom's boyfriends? Like, I tried. I made an effort, but like at the same time, like I had new kids and I was just trying to figure it out, and so I was like, I still would have made more of an effort. Like that's kind of where I landed with him, but it allowed me to humanize him and not kind of keep some of that resentment. Even though I was around him, making an effort, I didn't want to maintain that resentment. But it was actually, you remember the U2 album Vertigo?
Yes.
You remember that song, Sometimes You Can't Make It on Your Own?
Yeah.
Bono wrote that, I think, as his dad was dying with cancer, or right after. I think it came out right after his dad died of cancer.
Yeah.
And that song, like hearing that song, Sometimes You Can't Make It on Your Own, I was like, I gotta figure out how to get right with my dad.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm understanding this, your parents split, are you feeling like you're on your own at that point? Kind of, because then you mentioned you get caught up with various bad influences. Is that because mom and dad was not around?
I would say really abandonment issues because of my dad.
Yeah.
My mom is now drinking and just completely depressed, and she's a victim and everyone's out to get her, right?
Yeah.
Without taking any ownership or responsibility where she contributed to the mess that was caused, right? And then when she did finally get a job, like just she was working nights. She had to get a job as a blackjack dealer to work nights, going to Via House Casino, taking the bus. And that was like, well, she's not here. So like, I can do whatever I want.
And like,
And that's where like the patterns started, the self-destructive patterns, breaking into houses, breaking into schools, breaking into all kinds of stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I was completely unoccupied. I mean, probably age fourth grade. I remember like just kind of do what I want.
Yeah.
You know?
Amazing. You know, I know you now. I think I've known you a couple years now, and I know you to be an incredibly hard worker. I think of my sort of upbringing. I've mentioned this before, but like I grew up. My parents were high school graduates. My dad's from basically outside of the United States. I was born outside of the United States. And then we kind of bopped around, like we just basically went from here to there. It was Reagan economics, so there you could go places. My dad took a job on the boat looking for oil one time, and then he was a 7-Eleven employee on grave ship. But I remember like feeling like the uncertainty of the future was a regular sort of feature of my life. Did you feel that way? Did you feel that uncertainty of the future, no stability? And how did you process that?
Yeah, I think I processed that through just self-destructive behaviors, right? So like being sexually active at a young age, smoking weed, drinking alcohol. Yeah. By the time I'm 13, I'm like, I've gotten it all out of my system. Like, I'm like, this is crazy. You know, get arrested at age 11 because we were trying to bail our gang leader out of jail. So and we had heard his house had cash and we could get the cash to bail our gang leader. Like, just completely insane.
Yeah.
Lack of stability. And so then, yes, to answer your question, absolutely yes. But then something happened where I was like, I don't want to be this kid no more. Like, I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, I'm done. I'm okay at that point. Got arrested, had to do community service hours. I start hearing about Jesus. Neighbors start witnessing to me. My mom relocates us to North County, Vista, California. Okay. I get a clean slate. I get a fresh start. Yeah. 8th grade, 7th grade, my GPA is like 1.2. The week we moved out, like almost got stabbed. I got jumped. There's people showing up to my house with baseball bats, wanted to beat me up because we had broken into some houses and some folks had found out. Just like crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And I relocated. And so like, you ever seen that show Scared Straight? Yeah. Because I didn't have to go on the show Scared Straight. Like, I was scared straight from all my bad decisions. So when I moved to Vista, I get a clean start. I get a fresh break. And I'm like, I'm going to be the good kid. Like, I'm going to get better grades. I'm going to see how well I could really do if I apply myself. I'm going to pour myself into basketball. So the lack of stability forced me to put my head down and say, I got a fresh start. Let me try to do something helpful or productive.
Yeah.
Without Jesus, this is all before Christ.
Yeah. Yeah. But also, I mean, looking back, because this is what's great about the two of us, right? I'm 46. I have now the ability to look back and I can say, I did that because, but as a 46-year-old man, if you would ask me when I was 12 or, 8, I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So this is great because like, that's what I'm curious about. I see you now as an incredibly hard worker, and you're killing it in space. Clearly the experience of your life growing up has led to this moment, and you're saying it's without Jesus, but maybe it was all part of the process, the plan of God. Yeah.
Yeah. I think so. I think Jesus was coming after me, years before I fully surrendered.
Yeah.
And that's a trippy thing because I'm not a Calvinist, right? Like, I don't.
Everybody hear that?
Yes. No, I love my Calvinists, shout out Gavin Ortlund, shout out Wes Huff. Like, I love those brothers, but I'm not a Calvinist.
Yeah.
Simply because, much like Mike Winger, I don't think that regeneration precedes faith. Like, I think you put faith in Jesus, then you're regenerated.
Yeah.
But in my personal life,
yeah,
I definitely felt like the Lord pursued me and was drawing me close against my will. Like, against my, so I'm like privately a Calvinist.
Yeah.
I know that's cheating. I know someone's gonna be like, "Well, technically," leaving a nasty comment.
Sure. Okay, so we went past something, and I feel like we need to go back. Yeah. You said I've not heard this. You said you were trying to bail out your gang leader.
Oh yeah.
of jail.
Yep.
Please start from the beginning.
Yeah.
And what was that?
So we had a gang. We started a gang.
Yeah.
Because this is the peak of gangster rap. You gotta have a gang. You know, you gotta have your own gang. So we like jumped each other in. And there was our older leader guy. In hindsight, I'm friendly with him now, but in hindsight, it was so weird, man. The dude was in his mid-20s. We're like, I'm a preteen at this point. You know, a couple of us are teenagers.
Yeah.
It was weird. So long story short, we're out one night, and thankfully we never had access to guns or firearms or anything, because that could have gone real bad. So we never had access to guns, praise God. And one night he has a pellet gun, and he decides to like walk up to a light and like to show us how cool he is. Takes out this pellet gun, which by the way, he's telling us is a real gun. Yeah, this is weird stuff, right?
Okay.
So he takes out this pellet gun. He like tries to shoot down a light, and then the cops pull up right away. I don't know where the cops pull up. Wow. So they handcuff him. We're just standing there, and this is like, again, my parents are gone. It's the middle of the night. I'm just there. So they put him in handcuffs. They take him away. So he's arrested, and I don't remember what the charge was, but now he's in jail. The woman who he had a baby with, she was pregnant with his baby, was also messing with another guy. And it was like, hey, this guy, yeah, he's very successful. He has a bunch of checks. You can break into his house. We can get the checks. We can go to a check cashing place. We can cash the checks. We can get the money out, and we can bail him out. This is her plot, why she's messing both of these dudes.
Okay.
And so that was the plan. We're going to break into this house. We're going to get these checks. We're going to go to check cashing place. We're just not thinking very at all.
Oh my God.
So there's three of us. I'm the smallest one.
Okay.
So I'm going to be the one that goes through the bathroom window.
Oh my gosh.
The other person is propping me up. And the third person is the lookout. So at this point, I'm being propped up like I'm standing on someone's foot.
Yeah.
I'm in the window, in the bathroom window, right in front of the house, by the way. So it was like door, bathroom window.
Yeah.
And I'm like halfway through, and there were houses. There were these like condo duplexes, and the neighbor right across the hall was like an ex-police officer. So he sees what's going on. It's broad daylight. Like we're just idiots at this point, right? It's broad daylight. And so our lookout guy apparently doesn't see this ex-police officer coming. He grabs him, throws him in an armbar, and like puts him on the ground. And he's like, screaming, right? Yeah. And he's like, all you guys get on the ground or we're about to break his arm, you know? Wow. And calls the police. And so the police come, and these guys were breaking into the house and this and that. So they handcuff us. They take us to the detention, put us in separate rooms, and we just all told we told him everything. Oh, wow. And it was at that point I knew that I am not built for this life. I am not built for this life. And then my poor mom like has to leave and drive and pick me up, and I then got to go to court, and I got like it was a mess, man. It was so bad, and it was really bad. And I like told my mom like, my mom was just so naive, and she just believed anything I said. So what I told her was, well, no, like I wasn't breaking in the house. I was just looking in the window. And she believed, and that's how she chose to believe that. So I was looking in the window.
So, golly, dude, you kind of, I don't want to make this about me, but I was sitting with you in an interview a year ago, 2 years ago now, and I'm talking about going beyond the boundary into Area 51. Where you laughed at me and you were like, "Oh man, I ain't crazy like that. I did it, yeah. Bro." You sat on that story for like years. Yeah, you're crazy. Yeah, or a little bit more. A little bit. I've had a brief moment where I was arrested. Okay, what were you arrested? My thoughts. That's the stupidest thing in the world. I got picked up because of an unpaid ticket that I actually paid. So it turned out to be a clerical error. Oh no! And here I am. Were you 19? Oh my! So here I am speeding down the road, coming back from volleyball, Polynesian, and late night, and I get woo, and and the guy's like, "You step out of the car," and he arrests me. And I was trying to say, well, this is a mistake. And he goes, sure, that whole thing. How long were you like? Was you had to spend a night in jail, or I spent a night in jail? Call my dad, and I'm like, hey dad, if at 4 a.m, I call my dad, finally get processed, and I'm like, hey dad, if you're happening to go to the grocery store anytime soon, do you want to bail me out of jail? Jeez, did he bail you out? Yeah, you did. Well, he was angry. You know, somebody answers the phone angry. Hello.
Yeah.
But my question, because my thoughts were racing in that car. Mm-hmm. What are you thinking with your hands behind your back in the car?
Oh, horrified. I'm like, I can't believe, like, I'm like, this is terrifying. I'm arrested. I am arrested. This is crazy. Yeah. Yes, I'm petrified because it all got real fast.
Okay.
It all became very real fast because now we're not just these kids that are breaking into people's homes and taking, Nintendo 64, whatever the console was, video games, and stealing cartridges. It wasn't Nintendo 64 back then. No, this was the era of Super Nintendo. We're not where it's not that. Like, this is, we're doing serious. And the crazy part is, like, we kept doing it. Like, we kept breaking in homes after that and breaking into, one time we broke into a Christian school. Like, we did a lot of dumb stuff. Yeah.
Well, so you talk about now you have a moment. So now you've moved to Vista and you're like, okay, I want to get my life on track. But what is that? Is that just new location that caused you to think this way? Or is it like, oh, things got real, so now I don't want to do that anymore? You learned your lesson? Mm-hmm. Like, what happened?
So it was a combination of all that. New location. I told you I almost got stabbed. There was a Samoan kid who brought a gun to school.
Oh my gosh.
Wilson Middle School. I'm in 7th grade. He brings a gun to school. And I don't remember him showing me the gun. I remember telling me he had a gun.
Yeah.
But I remember him showing me the gun. Well, long story short, he gets caught with a gun. He gets expelled. And for whatever reason, he decided to tell the police it was my gun. Now, I didn't do guns. Like, we didn't have guns. Yeah. And so the detectives bring me in, and I'm in the principal's office in 7th grade.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, he said this was your gun. And he, because they know, oh, this kid's been arrested. He's on probation.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Like, he had said he had a gun, but it's not my gun. I'm like, well, he's saying it's your gun. They're like interrogating me. Yeah. No legal representation. Parents not present. This is probably, they probably broke some laws just doing that alone. So I remember it was like a movie. I got up and I was like, that's not my effing gun. You can run the effing fingerprints and you will find out that's not my gun. Like, yelling at these 2 grown police officers.
Right.
And they're like, we're going to run the effing fingerprints. And when we find out your gun, we're taking you down. And I'm like, all right. I got out of there. I was like, I got nothing to worry about. I know it's not my gun, Sure enough, he shows up to the school several days later. I'm leaving. He's walking down El Cajon Boulevard. And I'm like, yo, like, what was that about? And he goes, no, the kid. Oh, the Samoan kid.
Yeah.
Big fat Samoan kid, mind you.
Hello.
He's walking towards me and I'm like, dude, what was that about? Why did you say I gave you the gun? And he goes, why did you effing snitch on me? I snitch on you. And then I look down and in his left hand,
yeah,
he had a knife. And then so he like goes to like lunge at me.
Oh my God.
And man, thankfully I was playing flag football at the time. I hit him with a nice little juke and just like ran for my life down El Cajon Boulevard and narrowly escaped getting stabbed. Man. So there was that. We broke into another. So that was pretty horrifying. We broke into another house. This time they knew how we did it. They knew we did it. I don't know how they knew, but they just knew like we were the bad kids. They sent someone, like a family friend of theirs, right in front of my apartment complex with a bat trying to look for me.
Yeah.
The arrested situation, like all those things happened, like the and then we moved the same week. So all of that just kind of culminated.
Yeah. Golly, dude. That's crazy. I almost don't want to claim him, that Samoan kid.
Yeah. I'm just happy he was fat, man. Because if he was agile, oh man.
Dude, you said to me Samoan and fat, and I'm thinking accurate.
And he was like a friend. Like, we were friendly. So like, I don't know if he was just mad that he was expelled and he just needed to lash out at somebody, but like, wow, it wasn't my gun and I didn't snitch on you. Like, wow, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, so now you're in Vista, and now your mom's is it your mom going to church and bringing you along for the ride?
No. So my mom just recently started going to church. She wasn't going to church at all.
So how does Jesus come into the equation for you in Vista?
It was a girl.
Here we go.
The end of my freshman year, I did a talent show at Brickell Terrace Park. And I rapped my first rap song that I'd recorded, and it was like a performance of it.
Oh yeah.
It's called the Magnificent Lyricist.
Here we go. Do you get some bars from that?
Yeah. The magnificent lyricist nemesis. No one as ill as this. That's the only part I remember. It's the arrow, like big words. Wu-Tang, diabolical, like big words. So I do this talent show at Wrigley Terrace Park.
Yeah.
And I ended up winning the whole thing. There was like bands and other people there, and I ended up winning the whole thing. And for whatever reason, like the rest of the night, she just kind of clinged on to me. We started talking. And this is the end of my freshman year. So the only way I could see her over the summer is if I went to church with her and her family on Sundays. So at this point, I'm not an atheist anymore. I'm probably more of a theist. So like Tupac and DMX kind of brought me over from atheist to theist, right? DMX,
You're going to have to explain that.
God doesn't exist. So like my favorite rappers talk about God. So maybe they're slotting here. Tupac, yeah, you had a lot of references to God and dear Lord. And
Okay.
yeah. A lot of reference to that. And then DMX, 8th grade year, I got It's Dark and Hell is Hot, which was a great album.
Yeah.
But he had the song at the end, the Damien song, they did a prayer. And so that was like, okay, maybe there's something to this Jesus thing. And then he put out another album that same year. I remember put out 2 albums in 1 year. Second album, same thing. He had a Jesus song at the end of it. The rest of the album was murder, drugs, like the most vile things, and like Jesus song. Yeah. And so I'm already like warming up to the idea of God and Jesus because my favorite rappers believe in God. Yeah. Right. Despite how incongruent the rest of their content is. And so she was like, hey, like, come to church, you know? And so I'm like, sure, like maybe we could have sex on Sundays if I come to church. Like that's what I'm thinking, you know? And we're sexually immoral, but I started going to church and I started hearing about Jesus, started hearing about God, started hearing about the gospel. I was like a very secret church, but it was a good amount of Jesus and gospel in there. And then me and that girl broke up. I did start dating a Jehovah's Witness girl my sophomore year. Then I'm reading the reasoning for the scriptures. I'm reading, I got Mormon friends. I got Muslim friends, and I'm trying to figure out who is Jesus.
Yeah.
My lead shift manager, her name was Barbara. She was a Christian, and our lead delivery driver at Pizza Hut. I'm working at Pizza Hut. They're both Christians. And I'm just externally processing all this with them. At this point, I'm with the Jehovah's Witness girl, and I'm confused, but I'm still going to the seeker-friendly church. But I don't know if Jesus is God, or if Jesus is a God, or if he's the son of God. And they handed me the new evidence that demands a verdict by Josh McDowell. Here we go. Big old thick textbook, man. Like, it was thick. And they're like, you got to read this. Like, and so I read it, and I was like, not only did I read that, but I understood that there is sections on other worldviews in there.
Oh, yeah.
And it was great. And I was like, oh, so then I was like, Jesus is God. Now it's been another year wrestling, going back to the Christian girl, but now I'm sexually immoral again. And another year wrestling of like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then so finally, at that point, I knew Jesus was God and I was going to church. But finally, the end of my junior year, I fully surrendered my life to the Lord. And that looked like I'm going to plug into a small group. I'm going to read my Bible every day. I'm a serving church. Like, I'm not going to do this 1 foot in, 1 foot out thing anymore.
Well, but it sounds like you're living a lifestyle that would not easily embrace what the Bible teaches about that lifestyle.
Yes.
You know? So isn't there some kind of dissonance between, I guess, what you're doing and then also your desire to understand that, yeah, Jesus is King or his Lord? Like, how are you so friendly to that when you're not obeying the scripture?
I was okay with the idea of Jesus being my savior. I don't think I was okay with Jesus being my Lord. Because I think that comes with sacrifice. Yeah. And so therein lies the dissonance. And again, I'm coming from a hip hop perspective. There is a lot of dissonance within hip hop. It's the same era of, again, people making the most vile, awful music and then going up there and thanking their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for it. Yeah, pointing to the sky, wearing a cross, right? So there's a ton of dissonance within hip hop. Yeah.
But clearly, apologetics formative for you.
Absolutely.
Do you binge? So, like, after Josh McDowell, is there like a list of other people?
I binge. I end up. I binged that book, and I became an awful human to the Jehovah's Witness girl I was dating. I was just like, you're in a cult. You need to repent. Like, just no tact, no gentleness. Nothing. So I'm like, well, now I'm right. I got it figured out. I got the thing right. So me and her break up. I go back to this Christian girl that got me going to church. out of just sheer guilt and like loyalty, I guess. I mean, this is my sophomore year. So this is all going into my junior year, sophomore year. So in that, I'm like, I'm just in this relationship because it's convenient and because she really likes me. And I know I don't really want to be with her. I just ruined it with this Jehovah's Witness girl. Yeah. So I guess this is just, I'm just going to be here and just be in this thing. But that's that's the chains, because I'm sexually immoral. I know I shouldn't be in this relationship, but I am.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to get out of it. And then finally she cheated on me. Oh, and that was like the breaking point. That was like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Golly, man. You know, so I mean, here's what I'm trying to. Man, I love this story, by the way. You know, and I feel like there's 4 different paths to take with that. What I'm coming back to though is Ruslan now, prolific, multiple channels, accomplished though, not just trying something, but like you're killing it across platforms. How does that happen? That's my question, you know? And so let me zoom in on vision.
Okay.
Because I'm convinced that like, if I were to, it's going to sound gross, but like disassemble you, like what's the vision cog? You know what I mean? So it's like, if you can look back, what is the thing that you attribute your vision to now? Is it a moment? Is it something somebody said to you? You had a mentor maybe that came along.
Yeah. I get married. I love my wife, and I'm walking with Jesus now. I'm going to church, right? This is 2008.
Yeah.
But I understand there are aspects of my life still that are incongruent with who God wants me to be.
Yeah.
Right. What he's calling me to. So I get married, and man, we're both broken. We're both coming from, single parent households, just both a mess. And I discover Financial Peace University. I discovered Dave Ramsey.
Here we go.
And for someone like me that had no structure, no financial training, no, mom and dad not in the home, just complete, like, we made a big mess of our finances.
Yeah.
At one point we were 6 figures in debt. We were 100K in debt. And I remember 2 things. I remember, starting the process of Dave Ramsey, and then like to just stay encouraged. I was working jobs, going to school, trying to get the music off the ground. My wife was working 2 jobs. I remember reading a proverb, hearing Dave Ramsey read a proverb on his podcast at the time.
Yeah.
And the proverb said, "He who works his land will have abundant food. He who chases fantasies will have their fill of poverty." And I had to come to grips with, like, I'm trying to do the music thing. I'm trying to be a rapper. I'm trying to do this thing. Am I just chasing a fantasy?
Yeah.
Or am I working my land? And I remember like really having to come to grips with, like, what am I doing with my life? Because if I'm going to do this music, I'm going to do this music, and this needs to be working my land, and it needs to provide for me.
Yeah.
If I'm not doing the music, then I need to go figure out something else to do. Yeah. Maybe I'll go to ministry. Maybe I'll go be a teacher. I don't care.
Right.
And it was that fork in the road moment. And then subsequently, 18 months later, we're fully out of debt.
Praise the Lord.
We saved 6 months of living expenses. We have a kid. My wife is able to come home and be a mom.
Yeah.
Homeschool. And it was a great ability to do something hard and be like, oh no, like we could do it. Like we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like this handling our money God's ways actually works. Living on a budget, living below your needs, paying off your debt, saving for the future, like all those things, like it works.
Yeah.
So that was like, that then exposed me to the stratosphere of the guests that Dave Ramsey would then have on. So he had all like, Michael Hyatt. He would have all, early Gary V. This is before Gary V went on there and did cuts. Right. And so like early, like, I guess self-help guru business types, some Christian, some not Christian, but I really loved like the Michael Hyatt that he put out Entre Leadership. And so I was like, man, this stuff, like, I don't have to be like, I'm bad with money. I come from poverty. I'm always going to be poor. I don't have to believe this, And so, yeah, dude, so we got out of debt in 18 months, technically paid off 6 figures a day.
Wow.
This is before YouTube, before I was making any real money with music, before my wife worked 2 jobs. I worked 2 jobs. Well, I worked 1 job and then the hustle on the side. And that's built like a confidence of like, no, there's a sequencing that happens, and it's actually based on scripture. And the things that the self-help gurus talk about,
Yeah.
the good stuff is actually from the Bible. It's actually from Proverbs. You know, they just appropriated it and added new age stuff to it or nihilism to it, just completely. But it's actually, the wisdom is in the scriptures. So wisdom is in the Proverbs. It's in Ecclesiastes. It's in the parables of Jesus.
Yeah.
And that started me, because prior to that, I just thought I was a creative. I just thought I was an artist.
Yeah.
I'm just an artist. Like, I'm a pure artist. It's not about the money. It's not about providing for my family. It's about the art. And then, like, I just had a fire lit underneath me. It was like, oh, like, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it. Like, oh, I got to stop. So I sat my wife down. December 31st, 2010 was my birthday. My birthday's on New Year's Eve. And I said, oh, and I'm in the same place this time next year. I need you to tell me to stop doing music.
Oh, wow.
I don't want to keep doing this and spinning my wheels. And so this is the end of 2010. And 2011, we had put out a song a week, 3 mixtapes, 2 retail projects, headlined the House of Blues show.
Yeah.
And had like 25 shows booked going into 2012.
Yeah.
And like oh my gosh, wow, I'm making money off of the thing I love. I never thought this was possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good, man. That's so good. It sounds like some of these principles are in this book.
Yeah. Yeah. And just people know, like, the book, it's not a memoir. Like, it's not my life story. That's not the point of the book. The point is, how can I extract the principles from my own sequencing?
Yeah.
It's, by the way, very rich in scripture, very rich in theology.
Yeah.
And can I help people have a different perspective in this climate where, if we're honest, success, ambition, drive is either demonized or it's glorified. It's either the devil or it's God.
Yeah.
And the reality is there's a better pathway forward. It's neither. It's actually seeing everything given to us as stewardship. These are all things for us to steward. They're not our own. They're ours to manage. And godly ambition is trying to get people to tap into that. Like, your life is not your own. Your time is not your own. Your gifts are not your own. None of this is ours. Yeah, it's all given to us to manage as followers of Jesus for his glory, to build others up and to help spread the gospel.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Well, let's talk about the book, because I was told and I was taught that basically you follow the activity of God and you build a structure around it. And, that's really good. And then sometimes that's bad, because then you want to maintain that structure when God moves and no, he's over here. Right now, let's go. But I feel like, maybe we want to say this, like, everything you've done has led up to this moment. Even the YouTube channels is like a laboratory where you experiment, you try things, and now you realize, and it's like a lot of the wisdom is poured out up to these pages. So if somebody's getting this book, what is the takeaway that you want for them?
There's a lot of takeaways, but I'd say that the macro takeaway is that there is a type of ambition that is a godly ambition. It's anchored in that word ambition in Philippians that talks about making your ambition to live a quiet life, right? Yeah. That word ambition is actually a different word for ambition. We see selfish ambition in James, or selfish ambition in Philippians, right?
Yeah.
That word is a beautiful word in its etymology, philiotemia, which is like a brotherly love, a brotherly, philio is where we get, Philadelphia from, a brotherly love, and then temia is like time. And so it's like that's how it broke down the etymology to me. And I was like, this is incredible, right?
Yeah.
And so it is an ambition that is used 3 times in the New Testament. Paul is talking about I make it my ambition to preach the gospel where others haven't, right? I make it my ambition to do what pleases God, and then make it your ambition to work with your own hands, lead a quiet life, so that you won't be dependent on anyone, and so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders. That's the framework I'm trying to walk people through. And it's very practical, but again, it's also very rich in scripture and theological at the same time.
I mean, again, thinking about the book, clearly, well, maybe you would speak into this. Is this book seeking to solve a problem for people?
Absolutely. I think the biggest problem many people have is analysis of paralysis and cognitive dissonance about what they should be doing with their life. What is my purpose? What is my calling? What am I supposed to do here? Who am I? Like, that's what we're leaning right into, right? So where we get into godly ambition in the first chapter. We have a chapter about identity and identity formation. Where does identity come from?
Yeah.
we get into the difference between purpose, assignment, and calling. Like your purpose is constant, to know God and make him known. Every Christian's purpose is to know God and make him known. Your assignment is seasonal. It may change based on what you're doing, right? But your calling is discovered. Your calling is discovered through walking out faithfulness in different seasons that you're in. And that's a process of discovery, right? To find that sweet spot. And so, yes, walking people through that. And then I get really practical about like talent stacking and, preparing for, setbacks, praying under the component prayer plays into all of this, community, collaboration, like all of those different chapters, walk people through a framework to go, yeah, you get out of the cognitive dissonance and I say, I don't do it for myself, I do it for the Lord, and I don't know, should I do it? Okay, let's create a framework for you so you don't got to live in that cognitive dissonance. Because if you're in that cognitive dissonance, it's just analysis paralysis. You usually do nothing. Yeah. If you do nothing, then you always hit it. You always get the goal by doing nothing because you don't have a goal, right? Yeah. But if you're pursuing it with a healthy framework of why you're pursuing it, but also you have a way of how to pursue it, I think now we're starting to make some progress.
Well, I, for one, am proud of you. And I think I've got one final question, but I just want to commend you. You're killing it. I'm proud that you're a brother, and then I can watch you. I've learned a lot from you. When I first got into this space, I needed somebody to model a studio after and who was doing it well. That was you. And so I'm just so grateful for you. Every single win, I feel like, is like just an opportunity to just do this from the sidelines. And I hope that you feel that from Nashville, from me.
Mm-hmm. I do feel that from you. I want you to, you're always so supportive and encouraging, and then seeing what you're doing and how God is using you and the growth on your channel has been really, really fun. Yeah. Cause it's like, man, from that, you already had like 10,000 subscribers, but from that one alien video that you did, that we reacted to, that we then had you come out to the studio, and like to see the trajectory of your growth is like, dude, this has been so dope to watch.
Yeah, man. I thank you. It's the Lord, but, I do. It was you calling it out, and I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah. And let me just add this. Like, I think the misconception, regardless on how you feel about promoting and making money or not, I think the misconception with all of this is that people think that what you do is easy. Yeah. And it's not easy. Like, none of this stuff is easy. Yeah. Building a channel to 350,000 subscribers, having employees, right? Having to figure out taxes and structure, and like, this stuff's not easy, but I think people they'll frown upon successful people because they think success is easy. And that's just not the case. Like, success is not easy. I met I talk about this in the book, but I remember I preached at our young adults ministry, my first time preaching at I actually wasn't even preaching. My pastor wanted to do a conversation about influence. And I sat down with a kid, dressed well, super sharp. He's on a worship team. He's a visual artist, and he's showing me his art on Instagram. And I'm like, this is dope. Like, this is awesome. Yeah. Are you pursuing it? And he's like, nah. And I'm like, why not? And he's like, I just, I don't know. And I'm like, what do you got going on? And he's like, well, I'm on a worship team, and I work at this like 20-hour a week thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. What else are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm doing, how much? And like, so why don't you want to pursue your visual art? Like, I think this is really good. I think you should really lock in and like pursue your thing. And he tells me something. He goes, I just don't want to be too successful. And I go, too successful? Like, buddy, you're living with your mom, like, on the family phone plan. There's a chasm of a difference between like being sustainable and providing for yourself first, and like being too successful. Yeah. Right. It's like, women are going to be mad at me, but it's like women who like don't want to go to the gym because they don't want to get too bulky. There's a chasm of a difference between where most of us are with our health and fitness and like walking around like a fitness model. Right. So this idea, and I only say that to say that like we're solving for problems that we're nowhere near. Right. So people don't want to pursue anything because they think that like, I'm going to accidentally stumble into what Nate built with Wise Disciples, and I'll be too successful. Then I won't know what to do with all the money. I'll become greedy. And it's like, listen, like, that's not how this works. Yeah. It's very difficult. And God tends to breathe on things where people can handle what comes with it. Yeah. I think that's why you're successful. I think that's why Wes is successful. I think it's like, because God's faithful in that, and he'll breathe on the things that will work. And I think this is all uncomfortable. Like, there's a tension to like talking about this stuff. And it's like, why? let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. Let's be honest.
Well, I firmly believe that before God gives you something, he prepares you for that.
Mm-hmm.
And so just us talking about your life, this is why I was so curious about various aspects of growing up, was I believe God's preparation for this moment for you. And that, you know, same for me. So I got one final question, and here it is. You know, just trying to think about this. Like, I'm constantly thinking about legacy. I had kids later, so my kids are younger, but I'm older. You can look at my chin. But when your grandkids talk about you, I want you to finish the sentence. They say, "I am so proud that my grandpa." What do you want them to say?
That my grandfather not just encouraged, but also equipped people to live lives that brought glory to God. That's what I want them to say.
Yeah. Yeah. You doing it, brother.
Thanks, man.
I'm proud of you.
Man, I'm so grateful for you.
I wish you the best of success. So the book is out. And I'm gonna read it. Thank you. So yeah, thank you very much, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Yeah.